You know him from television. I know him through just culinary arts. Truly the best meal I ever had with friends was at Johnny Sanchez in New Orleans. It had a lot to do with the conversation, but certainly the vibe, the food, the margaritas, that all added to the great epic night that we had. Welcome to the Produce Moms. This is the podcast where I talk to various people who've made an impact on the fruit and vegetable community. There are so many stories to share that will change the way you look at fresh produce. Joining Chef Aarón today, we are welcoming Jennifer Killian. Jennifer serves as the director of the Chef Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund, and that is truly how this entire show came together. I read an amazing press announcement with what Chef Aarón Sánchez is doing to elevate Latinos in the culinary arts, and you know, with the Produce Moms being the first and currently the only B Corp certified influencer brand in the world, this is right up our alley. This speaks to my heart and soul in a way those tacos at Johnny Sanchez did as well. So with that, I want to welcome our two guests. Chef Aarón Sánchez, we'll start with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lori, for having us. I know that Miss Jennifer and I have been looking forward to this, so we're beyond excited, loving the work that you guys do as well. So I think there's a lot of simpatico love happening here. So we're really appreciative.
And you know, I'm a gringa. However, I did go to the Universidad de Guanajuato por un semestre para estudiar. So the Latino heritage and your background, it all resonates with a very special part of my life. And I think that's one reason, you know, we celebrate our culture and our passions through food. At least we do in my household. And I think that as a chef, you must agree. And it's a great equalizer.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you went to Guanajuato. It's such a Mexican place. You know, Diego Rivera was born there. They have those wonderful mines, the famous mines of Guanajuato, and the whole story of the Pipila, the indigenous guy who's a martyr. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. So I'm happy you spent time there.
I know that your son's name is Yuma, so I think it's prudent for me to mention my very first speaking engagement was in Yuma, Arizona at the International Spinach Festival.
Out of all things, right?
Yeah, right.
I've been to onion festivals too, so don't feel bad. I went to Gilroy, California.
Oh, the Garlic Festival. I love that one.
Festival,
yes. Yeah. All right. So Jennifer, welcome. We have to get you on the mic and allow you to say hello to our audience today. Jennifer Killian, folks.
Good morning. Thank you so much for including me in this broadcast.
Well, we wouldn't have it any other way. You know, you're doing a lot of hard, important work to advance the Impact Fund. And I'm so glad that you could join us today for this important discussion. So, Chef Aarón, we'll start with you. I mean, celebrated chef. People know you from TV. Women have crushes on you. People dine in at your restaurant. So, I'm here for your self-introduction, but, so tell us how you introduced yourself.
Well, no, I mean, if anybody knows me, I'm a very humble person. I don't like to sort of self-indulge in that way. I'm just a person that's infatuated with food and helping people. And I think the reason that we're here today is the hat that I put on is a philanthropist and someone that's a spokesperson for the Latino community. That's basically kind of what, this is the mission and the project that I'm the most excited about right now, currently, and all the different things that I'm doing, because it's something that we're planting seeds, and we finally have the leadership necessary in Jennifer and all of the support we need from Emeril and his wonderful team over there. And it's I started with this idea in something very grassroots and organic, and the fact to see it flourish to the point where it's at now could not have happened without Miss Jennifer taking the reins and understand. She's also very humble, so I'm going to wax a little poetic about her. But we were so concerned about trying to get her in ruffling feathers because she's that good. You see what I'm saying? And we didn't want, her last job, because New Orleans is a small town, and I didn't want, the people to get upset because we kind of took her and have her for ourselves. But she is doing a phenomenal job, and she's giving the mothership and the leadership, I think, that we were missing. I was spread thin. I needed, this idea to grow and to have sustainability. And Jennifer's definitely done that.
And you mentioned the Emeril Lagasse Foundation. And like I said at the beginning of the remarks, that is how I found out about the Impact Fund. I did not realize what a philanthropist you were, Chef. And I absolutely love that here we have America's favorite Latino chef doing all he can to elevate Latinos within the culinary arts and move into positions that, frankly, highly underrepresented. And we can dive into some of the data. As someone who's dedicated my life to fresh produce, I sold it for years to grocery stores and restaurants. And now obviously I'm focused on, downstream communications, media advocacy with school meals. I wholehearted, there's so much, there's Nielsen data out there about how no consumer demographic consumes more fresh produce than Latinos. And when you think about scratch cooking and anyone who's traveled to these Latin American countries, you know what we're talking about, folks. It's fresh, it's vibrant. These are recipes from the abuela's kitchen. These are passed down as part of the heart and soul of this demographic. So for you to have an entire impact fund dedicated to not just helping folks see culinary arts as hey, I could be a line cook, but let's get people into executive positions and management and other underrepresented sectors within the culinary arts and the food chain where we need more Latino voices. So absolutely love what the fund's all about. Jennifer, with you being the director of the fund, undoubtedly that includes fundraising. You and I shared some pre-show dialogue about, getting the data and understanding, what is the disparities within society, so that the fund can be positioned as not just a force for good, but an actual solution solver. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more dialogue with our audience today, Jennifer, on what's a typical day look like for you as the director of this fund, and how does this fund connect with your soul as an individual and a professional?
Sure. So, you mentioned the Emeril Foundation, and for your listeners, our connection is that Aaron's Impact Fund is not its own charity. We are a program of the Emeril Lagasse Foundation, and that's a true partnership. By working with a very successful 20-plus-year-old foundation that's nationwide, focused on developing and supporting youth, that's in perfect alignment with what the mission is of our Impact Fund, which is to uplift the lives of Latino youth across America. So the typical day of someone like myself involves, as you mentioned, fundraising, but also managing the programs that we operate. So, obviously we can't help young people without fundraising. It's a true charitable program. So we are, working with potential partners, looking for opportunities to create funding. We are soliciting individuals to give to us. Anyone can be a philanthropist because there is no such thing as too small a donation. We're able to embrace, all of those avenues. But from the programming standpoint, Aarón started the Scholarship Fund, where we are able to send young Latinos to award-winning culinary arts education programs. He started that back in 2016. And it's grown now so that we are able to support 4 individuals that go to school in New York City. That's our current program. So, for instance, in the next few weeks, I'm onboarding our new class of 2023. We went through a process where people applied. We had to review the applications for eligibility. Then we did interviews. So it's a very deep, thoughtful process to select 4 individuals that are going to have their lives changed. And it really is turning their life upside down. It's not common that we get a lot of applicants from the same place that the school is. So most of the time we're picking someone up from their hometown and moving them across country to New York City, the biggest, culinary capital. And it's an intimidating process to, go from one, the lifestyle that and with your family as a young person to living with strangers in an apartment in New York City to chase your dream of becoming a culinary leader. So those are some of the things that I manage as the director. And then we also give money through other grant programs, which is our human services work. And that's very new. So we've developed this through the partnership with the Emeril Foundation. So part of my 2023 challenges as the director is to develop those standard operating procedures and what is the process for other nonprofits to apply to us for funding to do that human services work. So it's part of our expansion. We're very a better, well-oiled machine when it comes to our scholarship work. And as we try to expand and make a bigger impact, that's what we'll be working on in this calendar year.
Jennifer has a really complex job. I mean, we're professional beggars. It's what we really are at the core of it. I'm constantly making myself available to do dinners and events and doing a lot of different sort of outreach to culinary peers and colleagues and having them support as well. So there's a lot of that as well on the table. But she's managing personalities and not just the new crop. We're talking about the ones that just transition and reconnecting with past graduates and making sure that their journey is up to par, and we're doing all the things necessary to support them. So it's a constant ongoing thing. Jennifer has a huge job in front of her. And then as we expand, and she alluded to that, we're trying to make alliances with these huge corporations that had mandates to give funding to certain philanthropic endeavors. And, Jennifer's job also is to go find that and set up meetings and say, this is who we are and this is what our mission is. So there's a lot of that as well.
We're going to take another brief break and we'll be right back, folks. In a dinner rut? We get it. Don't miss our ebook, 52 Meals for the Slow Cooker. That's right, 52 dinner ideas that can all be made in the crock pot. theproducemoms.com/ebooks to download your free copy. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Produce Moms Podcast. I know that mentorship is a huge part of the Impact Fund and the journey for each of these classes. So, Chef Aarón, why don't you elaborate a little bit more on that? Is the mentorship, are you the mentor and they're the mentees? Do you have other folks that are part of that mentoring journey?
Yes. I kind of, spoke a little bit about that. Big part of the program is the internship process after they're done doing sort of all of the foundational work of the skills that they need and some of the administrative stuff that they're taught throughout the curriculum. But as they move forward, it's required that they spend time with restaurants, with different people, food leaders in the world, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a restaurant chef per se. It can be, a caterer. It can be someone that has a bake shop. I mean, so we're trying to do a better job of extracting what arena of the food service industry they want to go into, so then we can tailor their internship for that. Because we don't want people to be disenchanted by going to working in a restaurant setting and then not liking it. You know what I mean? Because it's really intense, right? So we're doing that. And then, I'm the primary mentor, obviously, because I know mentoring, my mentors, not just one, but several, were extremely necessary and impactful in my growth and my development. So at the core of what we do is definitely the mentorship as one of the tenets or the pillars, you know what I mean? So, and we encourage the kids, I should say young adults, to make a list of different mentors or people that they admire, and then we can help facilitate the different mentoring part of it. You know what I mean? Then I'll reach out to these people and say, hey, or Miss Jennifer will, and be like, hey, we got these dynamite young people that want to learn from you. And then that's kind of how the process goes.
I know also too, Chef Aarón, something that I would love to share with our audience. They might not have the fangirl that I have. I know that your mother was absolutely just instrumental in your life. We know that, we hope that most people agree with that, but we're also very sensitive to the fact that not everyone can say that. You truly had a remarkable mother, have a remarkable mother. And I want to make sure that our audience, with this being the Produce Moms Podcast, that we have an opportunity for you to just speak from the heart about how your mom was truly your catalyst and dare I say your first mentor as it relates to your career.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you mentioning her, and you're absolutely right. There's always that debate. I remember there was a commercial in the 90s with Charles Barkley. It says, I'm not your role model, your parents are. You know what I mean? And And it was one of those situations where for me, I personally feel that just because she is such a dynamic and an incredible woman that has provided a life for us. And one of the biggest things she did for me was expose us to things, expose us to experiences, and surround us around quirky New York people that are artists and writers. And at the same time, you have a CEO of a hedge fund sitting with us. And so there's all these different sort of personalities. And my mom did a really great job of like making a guest list, so to speak, that really allowed me to kind of see the world in a bigger way. And I think that's why one of the biggest things she did. And, you know, her impact on me culinarily, obviously, was just opening doors for me initially. But I really kind of set that on that path on my own. But she had always been just this strong figure that I had to live up to. And it's no surprise that everybody, the majority of our company are run by women on our team. You know, it's Jennifer, my agents, you know, my assistants. I mean, it's all women tell me what to do because I don't respond well to men. Because I'm the boss, you know what I mean?
Look at the lionesses in the animal kingdom. Okay,
yeah.
So I get it. All right, and I'm with you. Complete agreement on that. I love it. It really, there's some beautiful remarks on other podcasts as well as in your books. You're a published author. So folks, there's no shortage of opportunity for you to learn more about Aarón and his history, and the deep family roots that were the foundation for what he is today.
And we also have a podcast, my mom and I, in case anybody's interested. It's called Cooking in Mexican from A to Z on Heritage Radio Network. I don't want to take away from your amazing podcast, but I had to throw the little plug in there if you don't mind.
Of course I don't mind. That is, how did I not know this? I'm like, I was telling you before the show, I'm like, oh, I listened to your podcast with Danica Patrick. I'm like, maybe I should tune into your show. Okay, amazing. I will absolutely be tuning in. Thank you for sharing that with our audience and for helping me understand that I don't have to go to the Danica Patrick show, although that's a great episode, folks. But yes, So Jennifer, let's talk about some of the impact that has already, let's talk about the timeline here. When did the Impact Fund start as part of the Emeril Lagasse Foundation? I mean, the press announcement and the awareness came across my desk just, in Q4 of 2022. I did not have awareness. So Jennifer, why don't we have you talk a little bit about where it started, where it's at, where it's going?
Absolutely. So as mentioned, Aarón in 2016 gave the very first scholarship funding support to change an individual's life. And that was just the beginning of something beautiful. His goal is to help uplift these young Latinos who have the vision to chase a culinary dream, because the kitchen leadership is not as diversified as it should be at this day and age. So that's the spirit and the inspiration behind growing the number of scholarships. So as he mentioned, it was a scrappy program to begin with. Him and his friends would throw parties and dinners, and they'd raise money and they'd give it away. And now that many years have come with that work, you live and learn and you get more formal and structured. So that brings to 2022 when we aligned with the Emeril Foundation. And then I came on board as director, and the numbers have grown for the scholarship program. We have gone now, as of 2023, to awarding almost $1 million in scholarships. It's a little over $900,000 to 14 individuals. Yes, it's 13 individuals who graduate or are doing scholarships in the United States, and we did one in Mexico. For now, we're going to stick with domestic work, just because we want to do things that we know we can excel in and know the most about, instead of foreign relations at this time.
Real quick, Jennifer, I'm like a big mouth, especially when I have a tequila or two. So I'm always like bleeding heart. I'm doing an event in Mexico, and I'm like, we got an award one to one of these kids that's helping me. So that's kind of how it happened. So now I learned not to do that.
But and it's true that Aarón really does this for the love of philanthropy and the love of helping people. And that's an example. There's another student that we had awarded a scholarship to that came through Aarón's connection with the MasterChef television show. He found an individual he wanted to invest in through that opportunity. Now that we're with the Emeril Foundation and we formalize things that, we do applications once a year. We have a grants review committee that goes through the process of reviewing the applications and interviews and such. So that's where we've at for the scholarship program. And then with expanding past scholarships, we're pleased to share with you, because this is in perfect alignment with the work of the Produce Moms, that we gave our first Human Services grant, which was in conjunction with Hispanic Heritage Month last year, just a few months ago, actually. And we were able to give a grant to a school system in Central California where the community that lives there, are many of the parents and adults that live there work in the agriculture business. In the food business, they're picking produce and working in the equipment and all that to process the strawberries that make it to. They make. I'm here in New Orleans and I'm eating California strawberries when our Louisiana strawberries aren't in season. So that food access is brought to us by these amazing people who are working so hard. Well, they have children that are in the school system, and there was a particular school system that had a food co-op on site associated with the bigger program, Second Harvest Food Bank. And we learned that they had very little refrigeration. Therefore, they had very little opportunity to bring in produce and dairy and meats and things like that would need to be refrigerated. They got a grant to get this big unit. So that was covered, but they didn't have the money to install it. And it was really expensive because it's this huge commercial refrigerator. You had to hire an electrical contractor. You had to run electrical. You had to pour a cement slab, all these things. So we gave them some gap funding to fulfill, they got our grant and then we're able to accept the other one. And it's almost finished being installed now. And the goal is the impact is that we're helping to triple the amount of produce that these families with children are going to be able to access. So it's right within our mission. This is, the type of work that we would like to do more of as we continue to grow. And of course, that's all based on fundraising. The more we can bring in, the more we can give and the more lives we can change.
Yes. Chef Aarón, did you have something to share?
As Miss Jennifer said so beautifully, as we grow and as we move, that idea for me personally, and this better, and the Produce Moms know this better than anybody, is that when the pandemic hit, I was in California shooting. We stopped, and I was in essence, there with my uncle, my tío, who is larger than life, and we were there one day, and I started thinking to myself, "There's no restaurants open, but there's produce at the stores." So how is that happening? So me and another friend of mine who's a chef named Juan, and my buddy Manny Anijosa, who's from Tequila Cazadores, we all got in the van. We knew a friend of ours who had a restaurant. We made burritos and went up to Oxnard and all that area in the Central Coast and went to the farms and gave away burritos and agua frescas because we wanted to say thank you.
It was kind of a silent frontline worker heroic story that a lot of people overlooked. Obviously, we didn't overlook it here, but the society at large, for sure, they were thinking, about the great work that was happening in the medical industry, which, not to understate that by any means, but none of us had to worry about food access, assuming we didn't have that worry pre-pandemic, so the food kept moving. And I can tell you with certainty, first of all, thank you for that. I'm huge passionary for farm worker empowerment and gratitude efforts. So I thank you for that, but it's so true. It's definitely a sector. And pre-show, my team and I were talking about the work that you're doing and how it's having more of a downstream effect to elevate this very important demographic within the entire food value chain. When we really think about agriculture from seed to smile, whether we're smiling at Johnny Sanchez or smiling in our mom's kitchen when we eat that food, but when we think about that value chain, Latinos and the work that they have and the critical role that the Latino community has in food access in America, it's profound. And, you know, to your point, Jennifer and Aarón, when they're in the fields, when you go out to those fields and the Central Valley of California, you know, finding a funding opportunity, that I'm not surprised that you were able to find need within the Latino community in agriculture, because it is absolutely, everyone who's been a guest on this show knows that it is due to this a very important demographic. And there's a huge underrepresentation even in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, we came out there with a group of chefs, and you know, we tried our best to document all of it. They're giving 15 minutes to eat lunch because these people get paid by the bale. They don't get paid by hourly or salary. What you pick is how you get paid. So the incentive to hustle and not necessarily sit back and have your burrito or conversation, I wanted to like talk to them and say, hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. They're like, sorry man, we got to get back at it, you know? So, you know, just things like that really hurt, like open your heart up and make you understand, you know, how good some of us have it, you know what I mean? So
we're going to take another brief break and we'll be right back, folks. The Produce Moms is always accepting new brand partners. If you have a fruit or a vegetable product or a product that has the same integrity and values of fresh produce, we want to help you. Visit theproducemoms.com, and in the footer of our homepage, please click on the Work With Us link. We look forward to supporting you. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Produce Moms podcast. This is Lori Taylor here with Chef Aarón Sánchez and Jennifer Killian. We're talking all about the Chef Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund. What an amazing episode we have had. So it's not over yet, and I'm really excited. We're going to get into some data. The Produce Moms team, our production team here, found some data from primarily Zippia.com. There's just some interesting statistics about the demographics in culinary arts. So I'm going to read these bullet points, and we'll just kind of pass the, you know, around the horn, so to say. We'll pass the mic to each of you for response or any additional commentary that you'd like to lend. But I do think that when we're talking about how the Chef Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund is a solution, we got to set the tone as to what the problem is here, okay? And we can talk about our passions and our observations all we want, but really it's like, let's see some data and numbers. So that's what we found. So according to this website, there are almost 150,000 chefs currently employed in the United States, 145,115 to be exact. I'm not sure, you know, every day restaurants open and close, sadly, but that is the approximate number. So let's set the tone there.
We've not really operated with that number. We just know from the experience that Aarón and peers have had through the decades that there are many, many food service jobs, a lot in kitchen service because restaurants are so prolific across the United States. And as we mentioned before the break, you know, we feel like there's fewer people of brown skin and diversity in those kitchens.
I agree. Another stat we found that I you know thought was really important here. You've got the two lionesses on the mic, but 25% female, 75% male representation in as chefs. I can see it. You know, I definitely can see it. I definitely view women as an underrepresented group in agriculture as well. So Jen, do you feel like that statistic is pretty accurate?
It is, you know, it represents what I've seen as a professional in the industry over the last 8 to 10 years. It's an industry that's changing, and you know, there's been movement for many years to make improvements with equity and diversity, and the pandemic really put a big spotlight on all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that light, speaking about the equity and the diversity and understanding the underrepresented groups, let's dive into the ethnicity of chefs. 60% of chefs in America are white. Then, according to this resource, followed by Latinos at 17%. Blacks.
That's a big gap.
Yeah, huge gap. Blacks, African Americans, 10%, Asian, 9%. So it's huge gap. So we're looking to obviously elevate that. And Chef Aarón, when I mentioned previously about, there's maybe not a shortage of Latinos working in restaurants or other sectors of the culinary arts. But I noticed you were nodding your head in agreement when I said there's definitely an underrepresentation of Latinos in chef and managerial positions. So I want to give you an opportunity to elaborate on that, because we didn't really pause previously when I was sharing those remarks. But anything you want to share about the importance of actually getting Latinos into leadership positions within culinary arts?
And I'm happy that you mentioned that. Look, and without being sort of bitter about certain experience perhaps I've had, or some people in the Latino community have had in kitchens, because I don't believe in that. I hate people playing victim. It's not necessary. You know what I mean? What we need to do is figure out where we are now and where we're going, not what happened in the past. So just to be clear, all I can tell you is that I know from my personal experiences that there is, and when I definitely started 25 years ago doing this, that there was a huge disparity between leadership roles of Latinos in kitchens. Usually you had someone that was Anglo that was running a kitchen full of a bunch of Latinos, Mexicans, probably primarily in New York, where I grew up. And that was kind of the thing. There was a language barrier, there was a cultural barrier, and there was a lot of sort of clear levels of input that was being able to be shared or extracted, and that really kind of irked me. And I was trying to think about what was the crutch? What is it? And in education needed to be sort of implemented, because now there's no excuses. Now I got a better culinary education than some of the Anglos that are working alongside of me, and I don't want that. There should be no excuse why I shouldn't be able to move up, right? So with that being said, now you have and it just puzzles me. You go to the finest 3-star Michelin restaurants, they're Italian or French focused. Who's in the kitchen? Latinos cooking, right? Right. And then you go, and then a lot of American chefs are opening up Mexican restaurants because they went to Mexico and they fell in love with it. But if I were to open a French restaurant, I would be lambasted in the press, because they'd be like, what do you know about it? You know what I mean? So there's this double standard that is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, for me, moving forward, the idea of giving opportunity through our impact fund is going to really allow these Latinos to move up and be taken seriously.
I love that. Well, we obviously are cheering for you here at the Produce Moms. Jennifer, you are brilliant. I committed to you before this show. We're going to help you get more funding. We're going to help you get some, there's research out there that can help strengthen the story and set this tone of what type of problem we're actually solving here. And you have my commitment to help you really every step of the way as much as I can. I believe in what you're doing, and you never forget your best meal ever. And mine was at Johnny Sanchez. So I feel like it's the least I can do, right?
We're going to help you as well as on our end. We're going to promote through our impact fund, through the restaurant, social outlets, and mine especially. So we're going to get more attention for all the beautiful work that the Produce Moms are doing, because I find your mission so beautiful, and it's obvious your passion and commitment. So to all the Produce Moms, muchísimas gracias.
De nada. Oh, well, with that, my goodness, you guys, this has been an amazing episode. I just need some tacos and maybe a nice mezcal to close it out. But hey, it's not even 11 a.m. yet here at home, but hey, whatever. With that, it has been an amazing episode. Jennifer, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell folks where they can go to learn more about the Impact Fund, how from a grassroots way they can get involved. Anyone who's moved to share, whether it's, helping spread the word about what you're doing or even making a donation. So please tell folks where they can go to learn more.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. So we are in most of the well-known digital spaces. So of course, we have a website, which is AaronSánchezImpactFund.com. And we are active in a few social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And all of our profiles are Aarón Sánchez Impact Fund. And through our website, anyone can make a donation. you're able to make a donation of the value that makes sense for you, because we want the gift to be meaningful to you. So if $5 is a meaningful gift, we're grateful for it. If a meaningful gift from you or an organization you're a part of is more than that, we welcome that as well. The internet has made giving so easy. And as I mentioned previously, anyone can be a philanthropist. In addition to fundraising, you mentioned we are always welcoming opportunities to help spread the word. So if somebody finds something that we post online or in one of our email newsletters and wants to share it, please do. And my contact information is all over our website. I am a human that answers the phone in response to every email. So I welcome introductions to anyone that is interested in our work. And thank you for giving us this platform to share it through the Produce Moms podcast.
Thank you so much. And with that, salud.
Salud. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Produce Moms podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and any preferred podcast platform. Check out the Produce Moms on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Special thanks to everyone involved with the Produce Moms podcast, my amazing team. Stay tuned till next time. The number one question we get from our audience is, how can I get my kids to eat more fruits and vegetables? One way we can all do this is by making fresh produce fun. Check out our food art gallery and step-by-step guides by visiting theproducemoms.com and searching food art. Because come on, a penguin made of blueberries is just more fun than a bowl of blueberries.